My name is Ramon Gregorio. I'm the Managing Director of Lucent Research Limited, and we are a regional market research agency specializing in qualitative and quantitative research methodologies. We span far and wide throughout the Caribbean into the markets that we currently in, and essentially we are just a research hothouse, a research hub for all things research in a nutshell. Well, I did a first degree in accounting at the University of the West Indies, and then I did my master's in marketing at London Metropolitan in the UK, formerly University of North London. And then, I'm currently pursuing the Chartered Institute of Marketing, where I'm becoming a chartered marketer. I was working at a regional consultancy in marketing, and I think I reached a stage where I was a bit fed up with taking instructions. I mean, not in a negative way, but I think sometimes my ideology and my approach to life suggested that I could do some things differently and do it a lot more differently. And here I am sitting down telling persons what needs to be done, and I say, why don't you apply that same energy and that same effort to your own business? The seeds really started in my living room one night, sat down with a notepad, started scripting and started scribbling a few ideas, and realized, hey, there's something that's starting to form here. Called together two of my other directors, and before you know it, we had a business plan. Before you knew it, we started to pitch our business, and before you knew it, we had our first few clients. I think the biggest challenge is really growing at the rate that you want to grow, but I think there's a bit of a skill shortage in Trinidad and Tobago. When I say skill shortage, from the perspective of sometimes the persons that come across our desk or some CVs that come across our desk are the most ideal individuals, and we believe in training persons and bringing them to a particular level of skill. However, I think that is one of the fundamental failings of our educational system. I think we have churned out persons who have become accustomed to learning by rote as opposed to being individual critical thinkers, and I think that is a rule that we try to embrace, and the type of personality we try to embrace at Lucent. The biggest challenge I would really say is getting the right fit person for the organization, because everybody is not cut out for our environment, and also maintaining that right fit, but at the same time really staying alive. And staying alive is cut and thrust. We are one of the medium-sized research agencies. There are two or three bigger agencies out there. So it's really about staying alive in an extremely competitive market with a small share of the pie. Our approach is multi-pronged. First to begin, I think one of the things that Lucent has been known and is continually known for is excellent service. I am the face of the business in terms of customer interaction. And what you would find is that we have taken a different approach to how we do our work. So that, for example, we engage from start to finish. So at no point in time does the client not know what stage the project is at, for example. In addition, I think our methodology and the approach that we have taken to research has cut down the time considerably. I think networking is extremely critical. Now I belong to what I consider a formal network and an informal network. The formal networks, I would say, for example, would be the research associations that I'm affiliated with, the Market Research Society out of the UK, the Qualitative Research Consultants Association out of the US. The informal networks are the St. Mary's Old Boys. I think as I try, people underestimate the Razataza. Guys who you sat down next to are now leaders of industry. Guys who you sat down next to are at the top of the corporate game. Guys who you sat down next to and played small world football in the big yard are now their own business owners and their own managing directors, etc. So I think that informal network has always served us well. My philosophy is that there's a lot of noise out there. Sometimes you can make a lot of noise and there's not much behind it. I don't necessarily want to be known for that. I let my clients speak for us. I let our work speak for us. I let our quality speak for us. And I think that in itself has resonated well with the client base, as I said earlier, in that we don't need to make the noises anymore. Clients make the noise for us. Got a call from St. Lucia just recently. Didn't know the person, have never interacted with the person, never did a presentation, but one of our clients spoke of us up the islands. Hence, that translated into some sort of work for us. So the bottom line is that not always you need to make noise. I mean, we appreciate the fact that there needs to be a particular presence, there needs to be some noise, but oftentimes the noise is sometimes ill-directed, sometimes it's not effective, and at the end of the day you end up wasting money. I believe television is an underrated source of inspiration. Some of my best ideas I got from Family Guy. I'm a Family Guy fanatic. In our area there's a psychodrama technique where one has to do improv. And one particular episode of Family Guy, I always remember it, was Peter, who was the main character in Family Guy, had knocked down the whole satellite, the whole television infrastructure for Cohort, which is his area. And he put a box over his head and invited people to come over and pay money to watch him, and he acted out different scenes. And in our world, that's like magic. In our world, that is really bringing a brand to life, that's bringing the customer to life, that's bringing some of your core marketing problems to life, using that same sort of technique. So it was innovative from a perspective of him putting the box over his head and inviting persons to watch television. But I translated that to our own methodology in terms of how we do our focus group and some of the techniques that we use in a focus group or in a depth interview. Losing in the beginning was a bit of a shock, but once one began to understand the mechanism and understand the machinery, you start to understand what the client wants. So, I mean, knock on wood, I think Lucent has an extremely high success rate because of our willingness to listen and understand and learn from our mistakes. Not to say that we don't lose, but we lose less frequently now. And I think that's something I will boast about. In terms of winning, we always continue trying to build a relationship with the client, trying to build a relationship and understand how to continue to satisfy them. So at the core of what we do is just simply listen to the client and listen to their needs. Well, 5 years time, I would hope that Lucent is the premier research agency in the Caribbean. In 10 years time, I would hope that we continue to grow and perhaps be one of the big global players. In 20 years time, I'd like to be sitting in the Oval somewhere in London watching cricket, because I'd have done the 5 and 10 year stints, and then the 20 years should be the cap off where I'm ready to hand it to the next generation. I think, yes, I am Lucent, my team is Lucent, but I think we could carry it so far, and then there's a need for young blood, there's a need for an infusion of new talent. I'm fully 150% supportive of that. So I think for 20 years I could carry the company so far, and then do hand over to the next generation. I think it's very simple. One has to be prepared to work hard. One has to be prepared to sacrifice. One has to be prepared to lose, know how to lose, know how to win, and know how to win gracefully. One has to be prepared to change. If one is fearful of change, you're not going to last very long in business. One has to be, I think more importantly, understanding human nature. Because at the end of the day, it's business, which is an organic mechanism by itself. But underneath the business, there are people, where the humanistic element comes in. And oftentimes, as well, a lot of the crisis, a lot of the difficulties, a lot of the strains of business tend to fall on the people. So I think once one appreciates that the human nature is the most important aspect, I think you do well in business.